Hi, Easy here. This is the second episode of my Fresh 50 series, and I've just arrived in Vern. And before I go forward in this story, I wanted to quickly go over the roadmap or the path that I'll take to get this character to endgame as quickly as possible, and a path that you can take as well. First, I'll cover all of the gears, how I'm going to be gearing my character, and what I'm going to focus on, all the sources of acrostium, and the dailies that I should be doing. And I'll also go over the plan that I have for getting 15 island hearts so that I am ready to go to the Western Sea as soon as I can. So let me pull up some images and some helpful wordings to assist that. So okay. So this image was made possible through my gracious sister, and it will be uploaded to Imgur for reference at any time. But when you hit 50, you have a couple gear choices. And a lot of people seem to get confused about what the best way to gear up is. And from my research and my personal experience, the best way is to pick 2 to 3 pieces of gear that can be upgraded. So you pick 2 to 3 pieces of either Guardian Raid, Sailing, Gathering, or PvP gear. And then focus on enhancing those 2 to 3 pieces as high as possible. And then fill out the rest of your gear slots with Chaos Dungeon gear and some accessories from Shoeshire Dungeons when you're early. And then Guardian Raids once you reach 300 plus. So my main focus here is going to be on gathering gear specifically, as that is something that I haven't tried yet. And I've noticed that sailing gear really works well as well, but it does meet a pretty steep wall once it goes from 340 to 360 in the form of an item that requires you to be item level average item level of 350 in order to purchase. So I feel like a lot of people are gonna hit this wall once you hit 330 plus. So I'm gonna try life skill gathering. I'm gonna put on 2 pieces of life skill gear, get them up as high as possible, and then fill out the rest of the slots with chaos gear and some Guardian Raid accessories. I've already acquired the Mokoko earring, as I didn't get that on my main yet. So if it's your first character, try to collect 350 Mokoko seeds for your earring. It should take around 5 to 7 hours depending on how many Mokoko seeds you already have. But if you're starting out fresh, expect around 6 to 7 hours with the proper guide. So with the gearing choices out of the way, let's look at the sources of acrostium. This is going to be the main gate for our progress. If you don't have acrostium, we can't upgrade, and if we can't upgrade, we can't gain item levels. So where can you get acrostium? Well, let's first look at the daily sources. You can get them from Event Chaos Dungeons, 1 per day. You can also get them from the 9 Epona's daily pouches, 0 to 3 per day. On most days, I get between 1 to 2, but I've had days where I get 0, and I've heard people have received 3, so it's definitely a random chance. You can also get 1 per day from land treasure maps. This has been hop fixed recently, so there's a limit to 1. And you can also get some from chaos gates, but these are scheduled events, and I've heard that it's not 100% chance, so it might not be a consistent way of getting it. Also, chaos gates are limited in that they are scheduled events and only 30 people can enter per channel, so it might be difficult to get in one in the first place. Next, we have some RNG sources. You can find some from sea treasure maps. I've heard that these don't have limits, but there's a very low chance of getting them, especially with lower rank treasure maps, and even with legendary treasure maps, it might be hard to find a drop for them. You can also get them from mining and hunting. These are island specific from level 5 nodes, so I wouldn't rely on these too much. You can also get them from Mari's Secret Store, which is in the cash shop. It comes around every now and then for a pretty low crystal price, so definitely grab it when you get the chance. And I've heard you can also get it from dismantling level 300 plus epics, but I personally haven't received one myself, so keep an eye out for this one. And then there are some one-time sources. First Guardian raid clears will always give you like I believe 2 to 3 per on the first clear. There's also some from Tower of Shadow, and I'm sure some from Tower of Fate as well. Island quests and material box rewards associated with X number of hearts received. Those boxes will also have a chance of giving you acrostium. Island quests are guaranteed to give you some, but not all islands have quests that have acrostium, so keep that in mind. And dismantling any enhanced gear will return about 50% of the acrostium that you've invested, so it's a good way of getting back some acrostium once you decide not to use a certain item that you've enhanced before. And also opponent's reputations, the third tab right here on your opponent's I don't have opponents on this character, sorry. That's something that we'll unlock. Opponent's reputations, meaning X number of dailies done for a certain location, will also reward you with acrostium sometimes, and even acrostium stage 2, but we don't really use stage 2 just yet, so keep that in mind as well. Keep an eye open for this one. So those are pretty much the known sources of acrostium. If there is more, I'll definitely edit it to indicate that. And so on a fresh level 50, what do we have to do to get ready for endgame? Well, the first thing we have to do is unlock chaos dungeons and raids, and I'll be doing that in a guide very soon. You also need to do some blue story quests, and they'll also allow you to unlock the awakening skill, which I'll also cover in a guide. And you do want to clear the tower up to a reasonable amount, because it does have some stat boosts, potions, and some useful items that will be very handy and requires minimal effort to clear up to a high amount. Usually around floor 25 to 26 is when you start hitting a wall, but definitely give these a try. And you want to set up some of the island dailies. So I'll be going over which island require dailies in just a second, but you want to set these up as early as possible. Now, if you're not looking for maximum efficiency, you don't really have to worry about islands just yet. But if you want to get into endgame as quick as possible, which is what I am aiming for personally, I'll be doing these as soon as I can. On resets, you want to do dailies. Dailies are down here. I'll be going over that in just a second. And after you've done dailies, these are some activities you can do once you have time. So there are things like you can collect more hearts, Heart of the Islands. You can sail to deplete the Luck of the Ocean, which is a bar on the bottom whenever you sail, which will award you with materials and lucky currency if you manage to get lucky. You can also level up your life skills, and you can complete adventure guides, collect Mokoko seeds, complete side quests for tertiary stats, visit islands for affinities, NPCs to get their affinity up, etc., etc. There's a lot of things you can do if you have time. But if you're not someone who can spend 12 plus hours a day on this game, a lot of this content will not be relevant, as you're just not going to have the time to complete these tasks. So don't worry too much about these. And there are islands with really good rewards that you can do on a pretty frequent basis, such as Dookie Island, Sleeping Song Island, Suicide Chicken Island, and whatnot. These will be covered in a sailing guide in the future. And as for dailies you want to do, every day you want to do this middle tasks first. You really want to do these every day. And that is to do Chaos Dungeons 3 times, do an event Chaos Dungeon with a ticket that you receive from Chaos Dungeons. It's random, you might not always be able to do it, but I almost always have tickets for some reason, so it's pretty sustainable. And you also want to do 3 Guardian raids, mainly because it gives you a chance at some materials, as well as a chance at accessories that you might consider to be an upgrade. So it's really good for receiving right side upgrades, which are pretty rare. And you also want to make sure you're not capping your Cillian's commands. The Cillian's commands are these tickets right here, these tickets up here. These are the table tickets or cube tickets, whatever you want to call them, but they're used for entering cube, platinum, and towers. So they're very important. Make sure you don't cap them at 10. So at least use 3 if you're at 10 stacks. You can let it build up otherwise, but I would recommend doing 3 per day, so you don't end up having to do 10 runs of a cube on one day. Outside of these, you also want to start looking at opponent's dailies. You will get 3 opponent's dailies per day. There's some islands that require opponent's dailies in order to get the hearts, and I'll cover that in just a second. I'm personally going to use one of the opponent's dailies on an extra chaos dungeon every single day, so that means that I'm going to be limited to 2 opponent's dailies for my island heart gathering, so keep that in mind. And I'll also show where you can get the extra chaos dungeon ticket opponent's daily every day. And then there are some affinity islands where you might want to visit every day in order to get the affinity up for the heart of the islands. If you're not too concerned about these, you can leave this out. I've personally not done many of these myself because it's a bit of a chore. It really is. I don't enjoy this kind of stuff, so I've left it out for now. Once I feel the need to get more hearts, I'll definitely tackle that at that time. But these are mentioned here because it is a good place to start your affinity building on some NPCs. So with that out of the way, let's look at which islands and which hearts I'll be aiming for first with sailing, because sailing is a big part of the end game. I've already covered what I'm going to gear with, which is life gear, and how I'm going to go about it. So let's look at how I'm going to unlock the Western Sea. So in order to unlock the Western Sea, you need 15 hearts. 15 hearts is quite a large amount, considering only about 8 islands are technically quest driven. So if you complete a quest, you get the heart. All the other islands are either RNG, unattainable, or daily driven. So I wanted to see if I can compile a list of hearts that are attainable through dailies and quests only, so that you guys don't have to go and sit and fight against Korean ping for some of the islands, such as Suicide Chicken Island, or AFK with the macro on some of the islands like Golden Tide and Starfall Island. So the 8 hearts that you can get whenever, meaning you just need to complete a quest line, you don't really have to worry about dailies, are listed here. There are guides online on these, but I'll be doing a guide of my own for these islands so that you guys can get a complete picture from my perspective on how I handle these. So I'll just quickly go over it. It's the Lighthouse Island, Turtle Island, the Global Warming Island, or the Glacial Island, whatever you want to call it. It's a global warming island for me. Bikini Island, Remembrance Island. Some people call it Recall Island, but it's not the right translation. Island of Tranquility, the Lonely Island, Oper, and Pomona Island. I've already gotten the heart for the Lonely Island because it's part of the main story, and it was covered in the first episode. So already got 1 heart down, easy game. And then next things we have to cover are hearts that need dailies. So I'm looking at 4 main islands that require me to visit every day with opponent's dailies in order to get the heart. Sorry, webcam. And those are Nost Island, Ropang Island, Fugitive Island, and Animal Island. Basically Whale Island, Amazon Island, the shipping island. I did a video on opponent's dailies earlier, but that is heavily outdated, and I've indicated in the video itself, so please keep in mind, don't follow that one. Don't do 3 Ropang Island dailies unless you want the ship. So what I'll do is, I already mentioned that I'm going to use one of the tickets or one of the opponent's dailies on an extra Chaos Dungeon ticket so I can gear up faster. I'll be tackling Nost Island and Fugitive Island. It doesn't really matter which one I pick, but Nost Island, definitely Nost Island first, and then probably one of the other islands. So over the course of 6 days, I'll be doing Chaos Dungeon ticket plus those 2 islands in order to get the heart. And then on the next 6 days, I'll be doing the other 2 to get the hearts for there. And once I get the 6 dailies on the Nost Island done, I'll have the whale oil for the Frozen Island, the ice maze island, right? So once I complete this quest, I'll have 3 Giants hearts, and with 3 Giants hearts, I'll be able to go to Wisdom Island to get the heart from Wisdom Island. with the song, and I'll show you guys a method of farming this song without having to use up opponent's dailies. And then I'm also going to be tackling 10 paintings at the Sunflower Island in order to get the heart from there, and that adds up to 8 plus 4 plus 3, which is 15. So those are 15 islands that 15 hearts that I'm aiming for currently. I might end up getting an RNG heart here every now and then, because I do want to go to Chicken Island every now and then, and maybe leave my character with on an AFK island maybe. But these 15 islands are guaranteed no RNG method of acquiring enough hearts to go to the Western Island. And once we're in Western Island, Western Sea, the reason why it's so important is because Western Sea is gonna have equally easy islands such as the first 8 that you can get hearts and acrossium from. So I definitely want to make sure I can reach the Western Sea as quick as possible. I'm gonna be doing a guide for every single island of these. It might not be as in-depth or as useful as as some of the other guys that are out there, but it does give a pretty good perspective and a video form of me completing the island. So hopefully it'll be useful to somebody. So please look forward to that. That has been my roadmap to 330. Once I reach 330, I'll probably do another one of these and go over what islands I can tackle and what ways to gather more gear and etc. But hopefully this has given you guys a pretty good idea of how you guys should start your characters and how you can tackle some of these islands that people have been talking about. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Look forward to the next episode. It should be coming out within a day, and I'll see you guys next time.